You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. The Tigers practiced on Saturday, and Brian Kelly met with reporters afterwards. And in his 20-minute or so meeting with reporters, I found a theme sort of woven throughout a lot of his answers. And I would like to leave it up to you to see if you could decipher it, but I'll just get to the point and tell you. A lot of what Brian Kelly was talking about was physicality on offense, in particular in the running game. And I know that may sound like a little nondescript, but let me add some color to this. A year ago, LSU was dead last in the SEC in one very important statistic. Do you remember what it is? By a year ago, I mean last football season. This most recent football season. Do you remember what it is? Remember? Dead last in the SEC. And what statistic? Paulie? Squinching his face. Muse? Dead last in the SEC in a very important statistic. Either of you?
I'm not finding it, man. I'm sorry.
Paulie? Got it?
I don't remember.
Dead last in the SEC in rushing offense. Dead last. 107th in America in rushing offense. By the way, Georgia was like 102 overall, oddly enough. They made the playoff.
Ooh.
I know, right? Right. Remember what Will Campbell said before the season? Of course you do. But as a reminder, this is what he said.
Like I said, we're going to run the ball. So, I mean, that's not something we're hiding or, trying to keep quiet. I'm telling everybody right now we are going to run the football. So you can take what you want with that.
Yep, you told them, and I guess they all just prepared for it and stopped you from running the football because you were bad at it. Not you, Will. Will's great. Collectively as a whole. 116 yards per game. 107th in America. Dead last in the SEC. So why didn't it work? That's a question Brian Kelly was asked Saturday after practice. Why weren't you able to run the ball a year ago?
We're playing young backs that were learning. Josh certainly was a veteran for us, but, Emery went down with the knee in camp, and, Josh became, he couldn't be the only guy. So we had to play some younger players, and they were learning. From an offensive line standpoint, we had more than anything else the opportunity to be successful there, but it's about committing to it. And I think there's just much more of a commitment to it in everything that we're doing, from, Alex, who is the run game coordinator, to Coach Sloan seeing the importance of what we need to be physical up front. I think it's just a mindset that we lacked at times last year that we've really worked hard at building in January.
Okay. The Alex, of course, is Alex Atkins. Alex Atkins, one of the best offensive line coaches in football, who was the offensive line coach at Florida State, who, by the way, LSU tried to hire when they hired Brad Davis. They tried to hire Alex Atkins. He stayed at Florida State and ultimately became the offensive coordinator. They needed a fall guy last year. They fired Alex Atkins. Florida State's loss, LSU's gain. Now he's the tight ends coach at LSU and the running game coordinator. And yes, having Brad Davis and Alex Atkins on the same staff is a massive benefit to LSU. There will be more physicality in the running game. I don't think there's any doubt. But they also have 4 new offensive linemen coming in. And that is, I think, as big a point to this as any. You see, I think it's fair to ask if LSU's offensive line was actually good at run blocking 2 years ago, or was Jaden Daniels just that magnificent that LSU had a good rushing offense because Jaden Daniels? Period. Full stop. Oh, Florida's blitzing. Jaden Daniels, 85 yards. No sweat. That looks good on the stat sheet, does it? Doesn't it? How much of that was the offensive line? How much of that was, oh, it's Jaden Daniels, which we all know now is Jaden Daniels. If you didn't at the time, but some of us knew from jump. Anyway. It's all on tape. You know that. Anyway, you're replacing 4 offensive linemen. 4 linemen that combined for 171 games played. So you lose a ton of experience. They're very good pass blocking. But clearly, the running game was deficient a year ago. Campbell, 38 games played. Dellinger, 41 games played. Frazier, 54 games played. Emory Jones, 38 games played. Brian Kelly on Saturday was asked about this offensive line, the competition. The way the question was asked was about Braylon Moore. Because we've continued to see DJ Chester take first-team reps at center, even though you brought in Braylon Moore to be your plug-and-play starter at center. And so the question was asked, like, is Braylon Moore or is DJ Chester saying, like, not so fast there to Braylon Moore?
Well, it's competitive. You know, we brought in Josh Thompson, and everyone else is saying not so fast either. And so, look, I know our guys feel the competition. And I think when you create that kind of competition, it only brings out the best in you. It's going to bring out the best in DJ. It's going to bring out the best in Paul, Tyree, Weston. All of those guys are in a position where nothing's taken for granted. There's no Will Campbell out there, right, where you know there's no question about who your starting left tackle is. They got to make progress every day. And so this is just a different year. And in this year, there's going to be intense competition for those 5 positions all year. And it's not going to, like, get to a certain date and go, well, there's no competition anymore. We have more than 5 guys that can play in the SEC up there. So the pressure will be on each and every week.
If you get to a point where Braylon Moore and or Josh Thompson are not starting, I think that would be a massive development for LSU for one of 2 reasons. Either it's a massive disappointment that you went and brought those guys in and they're not capable, or it is a massive win because some of the young guys you recruited that were high star ranking guys beat out the veterans that you brought in. And man, that gives you incredible depth and promise for the future, however it plays out. But ultimately, I agree with Brian Kelly because you got 10 guys right now that are vying for 5 spots, and however it would shake out with whatever combination of those 10, I think you're going to feel good about the talent you have on the field. If Braylon Moore's at center and Josh Thompson's at right guard and Tyree Adams is at left tackle, and you tell me Weston Davis wins the starting job at left tackle, or excuse me, at right tackle, and either DJ Chester or Paul Mabenga's at left guard, I think you feel good about that. And you still got Karius Curran and Bo Bordelon and Solomon Thomas and Cohen Eccles. You got guys that you feel are SEC caliber guys. They just don't have experience. And if those guys beat out the veterans, I think it's a huge boost for the future of your offensive line as well. And oh, by the way, we talked about Alex Atkins working with the tight ends on their ability to block. It's why you brought in Bauer Sharp. Trey'Dez has his skill set, but Bauer Sharp is basically physically Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor was 6'5", 255.
Mason Taylor!
Bauer Sharp, 6'5", 250. Like, it's a carbon copy almost of the player who you know can put his hand in the dirt and move bodies, but also is athletic enough to catch passes. Well, receiver as well. Who was your best blocking receiver last year? Talked about it all season. Who was your best blocking receiver last year? C.J. Daniels. He plays for Auburn now. Okay, well, if that's something that Brian Kelly emphasizes is the ability to have receivers in the blocking game. Last week, we're out at practice. We're watching a short yardage situation, goal line situation. They got number 2 in the game. Who's number 2? Destin Hill. Dude's got a knee brace on. Tore up his knee last year at Florida State. Didn't play a lick, but they're second week of spring practice. This newbie out there with a knee brace is running first team in short yardage situation at receivers. Why? Listen to Brian Kelly talk about Destin Hill, the player.
As it relates to the depth in the room, I think what's important to understand is each one of them brings something different to the table. He's got good size and he's got physicality. I think he's got to continue to use that as he continues to learn the offense. Once he's comfortable within the offensive structure, you know, he's got the skills to be a very productive SEC player. But early, he is physical, can help us in that perspective. And, you know, again, another guy that's coming off of a knee injury that I think is only going to be better.
Said physical twice. Until he figures out how to play receiver in our system, he can be physical and help us. Yeah. I think Brian Kelly, even if he might not say it at the podium, looks at the fact that they were dead last in the SEC in rushing offense last year and goes, how in the hell did that happen? With 171 starts on our offensive line, with Josh Williams, with Caden Durham, with Caleb Jackson, with Mason Taylor, with all those guys.
Mason Taylor!
How in the hell do you finish dead last in the SEC in rushing offense? That ain't going to happen again this year. And it's evident in the second week of spring football that they're already focusing on making sure that don't happen again. Where they fall, I don't know. I'm not telling you they're going to go rush for 250 a game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm pretty confident telling you, though, the way they're focusing on it very clearly, ain't going to be lasting. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.